This morning, I was on the porch with my coffee, listening to the wind move through the trees like it was flipping pages in a book. Mary was by the steps, holding her little list, smoothing the paper with her palm like she was ironing it flat. She said, "Jack, can you call the insurance company and ask why the bill changed?" I said, "Sure, I'll call, I'll ask, I'll get an answer. How hard can a phone call be?" Mary gave me that look, the one that says, she's already lived through what I'm about to experience. She handed me my phone and said, "Just be patient." I said, "I'm patient." Mary said, "No, be new patient." So I dialed the number. It rang once, twice, and then a cheerful voice popped on like we were old friends. "Thank you for calling. Please listen carefully as our menu options have changed." I said out loud, "Of course they have." It continued. For billing, press 1. For claims, press 2. For pharmacy, press 3. And it kept going. 4, 5, 6. Like it was counting to a number I wasn't emotionally prepared for. I pressed 1. The voice said, "You selected claims." I stared at my phone like it had misheard me on purpose. I pressed 1 again. Slower, more deliberate, like my thumb needed to speak with better pronunciation. "Please enter your member ID." I don't know who decided a member ID should be 15 digits long, but I hope their pillows are always warm on both sides. I typed it in. The voice said, "I'm sorry, I didn't get that." I typed it in again. "I'm sorry, I didn't get that." At this point, I'm on my third try, squinting at the tiny numbers like they're moving. Mary called from inside. "How's it going?" I said, "I'm currently auditioning to be understood by a robot." Mary said, "Did you enter the numbers?" I said I entered them so many times I could probably recite them in my sleep. Finally, it accepted the member ID, and then it said, "To verify your identity, please say your full name after the tone." A little beep sounded. I leaned in like I was confessing something important. "Jack Thompson," the voice said. I heard, "Back Johnson. Is that correct?" I said, "No, ma'am, that is not correct. That is a completely different man." It said, "Please say yes or no." I said, "No." It said, "Great, let's try again." I said, "You know what? I appreciate your optimism." And that's when it got strange. Because after all that, after the numbers, the name, the beeps, it said, "Please listen carefully, as our menu options have changed." Again, like I had walked in a circle and ended up right back at the front door. For a second, I just sat there on the porch, holding my phone, listening to that calm voice explain my own confusion back to me. I wasn't even mad. I just felt tired. Not the "I need a nap" kind of tired, the kind of tired that comes when you keep trying to do a simple thing the right way, and the world keeps answering you with buttons. I remember when you called a place and a person answered. They might not solve your problem, but at least you could hear a real breath on the other end. Now it's menus, options. Press this, say that. Enter your life story in keypad form. I'm not saying it's worse, it just feels different. Like the line between getting help and getting processed got a little thinner when I wasn't looking. Mary came out and sat down beside me on the porch, quiet as ever. She said, "Did you talk to anyone?" I said, "Not a living soul." Mary nodded and said, "All right, hang up. We'll call after lunch. And if it asks you to press 9 to speak to a human, press 9 first." I smiled. I said, "That might be the wisest thing you've said all week." Mary took a sip of her coffee and said, "Jack, the menu isn't your boss. If it starts making you feel small, we stop and try again later." And we just sat there a minute, listening to the wind. Tell me in the comments, what's the worst automated phone menu you've ever been stuck in? If you like these quiet porch stories with me and Mary, hit subscribe. And next time a robot asks me to listen carefully, I'm putting the phone down and listening to the trees instead.